What is up, everybody? Aaron the dog back with the first breakdown of the week, actually. Breakdown 1 of 2 for this Wednesday. Cage Warriors 133 breakdown show here with Lewis of Norton MMA. It's live from San Diego, California. I think it's the second Cage Warriors on this side of the pond, as they say. But Lewis with me for both breakdowns today, fortunately. First one of the day. How you doing? Or night for you?
Yeah. Well, 8 o'clock at night, so it'll be a long evening for me. But as long as it's talking about combat sports, I don't care.
Yes, sir. But yeah, the thing that we've kind of said about it, and I was just getting set up here, as you could hear, is that the Cage Warriors in America are a little bit different, I would say, than the Cage Warriors elsewhere, to put it kindly. A little lower level, would you say? A little earlier on in the careers for some of the fights?
For sure. Like in Cage Warriors in Europe, especially the UK, where it's predominantly held, UK and Ireland, the first couple fights are normally guys with 1 or 2 fights like this card. And then from the third fight, even the mainstay of the prelims, these are really experienced guys. You've got, you get people like James Hendon, who's 7-0 on a prelim, for God's sake. Like, whereas he'd be headlining a San Diego card. So the level is much higher in the UK. But what's good is these guys are super up and comers, and they're going to get snatched by other organizations as well. It's a lot harder in America as well when you don't have that. They haven't got the reach. Cage Warriors in America, they're not really known. It's more LFA.
Yeah, this is definitely one where maybe you don't have the headline names quite as much. I mean, even at the top, Kyle Driscoll and Joshua Jones. You're familiar with them perhaps, but should they be headlining? Would they be headlining anywhere over in Europe? No. So, but that's fine. We were lucky enough. I always do track the odds here over in America, and we're lucky enough. We have odds for all the fights. So we're going to go through all the fights. Some of the fights we might have a lot to say about. Others of them, you can only say so much about a 0-1 guy against a 3-4 guy or whatever else. We're trying to figure out as we go here. But either way, we're going to hop in here and first breakdown of 2 for the day. So gonna start all the way at the bottom. Actually, I'm pretty excited about some of the prelim fights, even if they are a little lesser known. And this is one I'm particularly excited about. It's actually being listed as a post-lim now, but we're gonna review it at the bottom here because that's where it's at on Tapology. But yeah, the post-lim here is Elijah Harris versus Chuck Campbell. This is at 205. Chuck Campbell had all 3 of his fights previously with Bellator. And his last fight coming against Tyree Fortune, who we've now kind of seen as a little bit of a fraud. And we saw it in that fight. I don't know how Chuck Campbell lost that fight. I'm not sure how 2 judges, Sal D'Amato and another judge, gave it to Tyree Fortune. Tyree Fortune was outstruck completely. It was fought at the distance of Chuck Campbell. And then Chuck Campbell got a takedown at the end after Tyree Fortune tried to get a takedown for the entire fight. And then Tyree Fortune was fighting on the same card as Tyrell Fortune. A lot of hype there. I think that plain and simple is what happened. The problem, though, for me with Chuck Campbell is that he's in his mid-30s, and he's not fought since 2019. I'm not sure exactly why, but it's quite a long time off. He looked to be in pretty good shape, and he wasn't like injured or beat up after the fight or anything. I think it was just one of those split decisions where he's like, I'm done. I'm, off this and moving on. Not really sure what happened there, but very long, rangy striker, really athletic as well, in great shape, has nearly an 80-inch reach. I've seen him listed at 82, actually. It's a 78.5 on Tapology. Fighting out of AKA, I think he might have followed Daniel Cormier over to Daniel Cormier's wrestling gym. That is who he mainly trained with over at AKA. Again, predominantly a striker, good takedown defense as well, and showed he could get the takedowns. Got a really nice knockout of Bruno Casillas. Again, hasn't faced anybody all that great. Tyree Fortune, I do think he won pretty clearly with, though. So Best guy that either one of these guys has fought, Elijah Harris, Mr. Samoa, only 2-0 at this point in his career. A little bit shorter, similar reach. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in San Diego. He's going to be the hometown guy here, definitely. But both guys out of California are going to have a lot of support. He's faced terrible competition. Nick Pendola, I watched that fight. That guy had a giant belly. He had no striking and got arm triangled from full mount. So while it's like great, you got the win there, not going to rate that one too highly. Thomas Ferguson at 0-2. And now those were both in 2021, but this is a much higher level of competition. Justin, the UFC show tonight at 7 o'clock in a few hours, actually. So just got to be a little bit patient. But yeah, it will be here with Bunny, Lewis, and Josh making his debut on the channel. So come check that out. Much love to you, Manny. You're always showing up, always appreciating it. And Edward, appreciate you as well. Eddie Martinez, check out Edward Martinez Photography. He's going to start having some great stuff on YouTube, so go give him a subscription as well. But yeah, this fight for me, Elijah Harris, I'm not, I think it's going to be fought on the feet for the most part. I think it's going to be mostly a kickboxing bout. I do think Elijah Harris at times is going to try for takedowns. I don't rate his wrestling all that highly from what I see. I think he's going to be the smaller guy. Chuck Campbell with the 3 fights in Bellator's huge experience coming into this one as well. I like Chuck. I like Chuck completely in this, or not completely, but I like Chuck Campbell in this spot. I think he's going to be able to fight this fight at a distance, use his movement and circle his way to a victory. Maybe get a KO finish, but I could see kind of a decisive sort of decision for Chuck Campbell. I'm interested to see how he looks coming off this layoff.
Yeah, watching Elias's first couple fights, there's no inclination that he's going to like pull guard like 10th Planet guys do, or rip it to the ground in any way possible. He seems comfortable on the feet, even though I don't rate his striking skills all that highly. He's got quite bad distance management. He doesn't have a close distance, and he gets caught quite easily, especially with low kicks. Chuck Campbell's a strong individual, and especially for mid-30s and training in a really good camp and fighting decent competition, considering the level and the experience he's at. When you fight Fortune, when you've got 2 fights on your record, I think that's damn impressive.
And I really think he clearly won. And I just think the hype of the Fortune brothers fighting on the card affected the judges.
I think the crowd as well.
Yeah, it was. I think so. It's like, it's not like, I think Campbell was maybe mentally kind of searching the last couple of years. And we'll find out how much he really wants to be back, I guess. So,
this fight's going to tell a lot about both guys for sure. But yeah, I think Campbell should be the favorite. Again, I'm going to say this without knowing all the odds, but
no, many, you're correct. We're back at 5:30, not 7. Sorry, 5:30 p.m. Justin. Many once again stepping up. No, it's 5:30. You're right, because we wanted to adjust so that Lewis could join us from England, which is 5 hours ahead. So thank you, Manny. 5:30 p.m. Manny, you're the man. Anyway, sorry.
No. Yeah, just saying. I agree. I think Chuck Campbell should do it. If he doesn't, I'd be quite surprised. And if he does lose to this, I think he shouldn't fight again.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a. We often say the pink slip fight. This is a career fight for Chuck especially, and he is closing. He was an underdog initially. Now it's moved to a straight pick'em, -115 on both sides. Young in their careers, you have a guy who's taken off a couple years and they don't know where he's at. I like this spot for Chuck Campbell, and I think it's a straight up bet to start out end your night, I should say, because it's going to be a post slim. He's first. I think several fights are listed as post slims, yet they're at the end here. But it is what it is. But we are going to move on here as soon as I can get. There we go. Not the fight I needed. Hold on. Yeah, it was. All right. Next fight is at 170 pounds here, and it's between a guy who I've actually really enjoyed watching tape on in James Lynch. He's a fun guy to watch tape on, and there's plenty of it available against 1-0 Albert Lee. Albert Lee taking this fight on short notice. So not an easy guy, I think, even though he's 3-2 in James Lynch training on Game Bred Training Center. So, I mean, Game Bred just doing everything but, fighting, it seems like lately, but he's doing that this weekend. So we'll see how he does. But James Lynch, Jamie, 3-2, coming off of a loss back in October. He had before his previous fight with Joshua Nakagawa, who we'll be talking about next. He just laid it on him. Really good pressure in that one through tremendous kicks, put a lot of pressure. His wrestling didn't look that great. Honestly, he got really deep on some of these shots on a much smaller opponent or on a smaller opponent appeared in Nakagawa, yet he couldn't quite get him done till the very end, but still, he's kind of just relentless. He moves forward with this pressure for better or worse, sometimes defensively for worse. The Richie Miranda fight, Richie Miranda just out-grappled him, choked him out really quickly. Definitely looked like another step up for him. But, yeah, before those last two fights, it had been 2016 when he fought last. He had gone 3-1 or 2-1 in that during that time. And, just took off 5 years. He came back. He looked really sharp. He looks poised. I think he fights much better, much more kind of poised and composed than a 3-2 fighter, I would expect. Taking on Albert Lee, took the Sexyama nickname. Don't like that at all. There's only one Sexyama. Brazilian top team, Long Beach, so another California, a lot of California representatives on this card. He went 1-2 as an amateur, got KO'd and choked out. He guillotine choked an 0-0 fighter with King of the Cage kickstart back in December. I just think this is going to be Lynch here. I think the pressure is going to be too much. I think Lynch is going to be the better striker. It's going to be larger. Yeah, this is not a good spot here for Albert Lee, and I'm quite confident in James Lynch. Maybe I'm crazy here.
No, I completely agree. Everything you said. James Lynch is a complete package. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's got the level, but he knows how to do everything quite decently. Albert Lee has not impressed me at all from the footage I've seen.
Yeah.
I hate that when as soon as I saw he was called Sexyama, I was like, I ain't betting for him. I'm off the train.
He's making bad decisions.
They've both got terrible nicknames, to be fair, but James Lynch has experience as well of Cage Warriors, so I like James Lynch in this battle as well.
Yeah, I mean, unless Albert Lee is just holding back something that I've yet to see in the tape that I could see, I agree. And the odds, I think, are once again, this is a post-lim as of now, but I think that the value here at -165 on James Lynch, I'm saying value on a 3-2 fighter, but we got to consider who he's facing here. And he's got, I just checked just about every box for James Lynch here, from physical to the mental aspects of this one. So maybe Albert
background as well.
Yeah, maybe Albert. And Albert Lee also making his trip down to 155 for the first time. Was at 170 in his last fight. That's cutting an extra 15 pounds. I don't think that's necessarily great a strategy either against a grinder like James Lynch, but we shall see. Maybe I'm going to be wrong here. The last of the post-limbs, which we're reviewing first here because Tapology is going to Tapology, is James Nakagawa, which is just a great name. I love the
Joshua
name.
Nakagawa.
Joshua Nakagawa. I think there's a James Nakasawa actually who used to fight with Hellcat. But yeah, that is definitely. But this is a really fun fight, I think, actually, taking on Devin Goodale. Devin Goodale, known as the guy who fought the guy who lost his finger in the cage. Remember that, where it got jammed? Yeah, he's the guy who caused that to happen with relentless grappling, relentless wrestling. I kind of feel bad for him because it kind of got lost in the shuffle here out of Alliance MMA, as well as Catch 22 taking on another 10th Planet, this time Spring Valley, also out of Alliance MMA. So at different times, but Devin Goodale going to have a huge size advantage in this. That is just right away the thing that will stick out on the weigh-ins. You're going to look and you're going to be like, this guy looks like a welterweight or a middleweight. It's because he's been a middleweight. 6 straight wins. Last fought in April of 2021. And that was, of course, the infamous finger detached incident with Katang Piliev, a 5-1 opponent. Before that, took on a 6-0 Danny Garcia, choked him out inside of 3 minutes, actually just over 2 minutes. Took on an Edson Gomez at 3-0. Even his debut against Hector Saldana, a 3-3 opponent. So yet to face a guy with a sub 500 record as a pro. Had a very good amateur career as well, losing 1 fight there by KO. He's just, he's a really kind of relentless grappler, still developing the stand-up for sure here. Last April, he fought at middleweight. This fight, he's fighting at 170, and I'm kind of shocked that Joshua has stepped up here. I thought, when I watched the tape on Joshua, I thought he looked small for a 155er. So, like, him at 170, that frame, I just don't think this goes well for him. I think Devin Goodale is going to absolutely overwhelm him, Joshua, who Joshua had the issues against James Lynch with the takedowns. I think that Devin Goodale is a much better, stronger, larger wrestler. I think he gets him down early and often. I would think that Goodale wears him down and gets a finish in the 2nd or 3rd round, but otherwise, I think it's a pretty dominant decision for Devin Goodale.
Yeah, I agree. It should be just a nice, easy win for Devin Goodale, to be honest. And there's only one fight I can kind of think. Nice one, yeah. MMA Fight Club.
No problem.
Yeah, so there's only one fight I can kind of think of where someone on short notice has come up, or less notice, upper weight class where they're significantly smaller, and that was
Benson Henderson, Brandon Thatch.
Oh, there's another one.
That's the one I think of every time. Mine
was Tristan Connolly going up against Michel Pereira.
That's a good one too. Yeah,
where he just took him down and just.
Yeah, when Benson choked out Brandon Thatch and he was never the same. Remember when Brandon Thatch was Yeah, he was like gonna be that guy. Him and Ryan LaFleur were on their way up the welterweight division, and then they lost once and could never get their shit together.
Yeah, and then they held records of like 15-9.
Ryan LaFleur, that's a name I don't think of.
He was quality for a long time, but
he was a prospect at one point. It's crazy.
He was a prospect for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But he's retired now. It looks like Jeff Novinsky.
Oh man, it's good testing people.
Yeah.
I think Devin Goodale has got a much better crisp striking, man. He's really good on the ground as well. I think he's gonna have a decent career. He's in his athletic prime, you'd say, like the start of it, 28 to like 32, isn't it normally? So I just think Nakagawa shouldn't have taken this fight. I think he needed someone a lot easier. But hey, credit to him for taking it. But I do think he's just gonna get ran through, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, Nakagawa's only chance is if Devin decides to make this a kickboxing bout, and
they might have trained together as sparring partners once upon a time because they both have been at Alliance like on and off.
Yeah, so I just don't. Yeah, minus the odds give this fight very little chance for Nakagawa as well. It's one of the biggest favorites, if not the biggest favorite on the card. Minus 400 for Devin Goodale. I unfortunately can't bet that. Like, as confident as I am, I can't bet a minus 400 there. But Goodale's been testing himself throughout his career, and I'm not exactly sure if Nakagawa is going to be the toughest test yet in his career. So now we move on to the actual first prelim of the night. This is another 170 bout. And, this fight, a little bit difficult to break down, I'll be honest. Because these guys don't have a ton of experience. This is one that we're talking about. Saucelan Marigov against Brett Cooper. Just two solid 0-0 guys, a.k.a. versus Lions of Judah. I've never heard of Lions of Judah. Also, Blake Cooper, not Brett Cooper, is 5'7", so he's a little guy. For the 170 division here, but he has won 3 straight fights. Hasn't fought since 2019 as an amateur. So he's been thinking about going pro for a few years. Has 2 punch finishes in under 40 seconds in a decision. I mean, it's just that's what I got. I couldn't find any tape on him either, so that's tough. Soslan Marigov, the more experienced amateur fighter out of AKA here. Last fight at middleweight, so I expect him to be a little larger. Also 6'1" against the 5'7". A lot of KOs here. Someone's going down, and I would say Muslan would be my pick, just based on the topology. I won't say the name of any channels that maybe do breakdowns like that, but I feel like that channel right now. So yeah, I'll take the AKA product here in Soslan Marigov, but maybe Blake Cooper comes out and starches him. Right? Yeah. Is he related to Brett Cooper? I assume Hawaiian 5'7"
maybe
puncher, or like he kind of looks like Brett. Maybe not though. I don't know. Either way, I'm taking Soslan, I'm taking Marigov.
Yeah, it's hard to make an educated guess about like the next few fights, to be honest. This one mainly because they haven't fought professionally and you can't find any tape. Yeah, no. A Russian with knockout power from AKA against a guy that hasn't fought in 3 years. He was 22 when he did. Stay away from it if there's odds, if you can bet.
And it's minus, it's pretty decent for Soslan, -240. I just think that's. You're making a bet based on a topology. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad it's clear that I don't have an idea. We're gonna move on to the next fight here. I'm gonna own it when I don't. But this next fight, I get it. It's 1-1 versus 1-0, but I'm very excited about this 1-0 opponent because it kind of appears like the new generation of Rufus Sport is coming along here. We saw our boy. Christian Rodriguez last week or a couple weeks ago put up a great fight, and honestly, this guy also reminds me quite a bit of Christian Rodriguez and Eimer Hernandez. Really exciting kid here, but he's fighting at his proper weight class of 125. Only 1-0, 25 years old. Rufus Sport Academy representative. Has Anthony Pettis in his corner for his fights usually. Last fought in May of last year, so taking off a little bit of time, but fought a very, very good opponent in his debut, in Alex Trauber, who was 5-0, I believe, as an amateur, 1-0 as a pro. Came out and just really put on an offensive barrage on Eimer that Eimer, he got rocked. He got rocked pretty bad, which, I actually didn't mind seeing there against a good opponent. He was able to stay really composed, use his jiu-jitsu, and end up, kind of surviving that wave and knocking him out himself, knocking Alex out himself using his striking. As an amateur, had really showed off both the striking and the grappling, depending on the fight. Had a couple losses there, but at the same point, one of them was Tyus White, who is now his training partner, had a split loss with him. So it was really fun to watch. Eimer is a really fun guy. He's very well-rounded, impressive striker, and I think his grappling is maybe a little stronger than that. So what he did, I really rate Alex Trauber. I think he could be a legit prospect too in this division. I think that said a lot with B2 Fighting, taking on Enrique Marque, Hulk Hands here, good nickname, 5'3". So a little bit shorter, going to be a little quicker. Did lose his last fight out in August with Cage Warriors, where he took on Cody Davis. He gave Cody Davis a really, all Cody Davis could handle in that fight, honestly. And Cody Davis since then went on to LFA, looked much better there. So I do kind of think this is a close fight. I think it's a really tougher test for Eimer than the odds are indicating. I love Eimer. I hate the price here. I think Enrique Marte is going to give him quite a bit of a test. The win over Jet Shell, I really rate highly as well. It was both their debuts, but Jet Shell looks like a bantamweight to a featherweight in his fights. Really, really big guy. And for Marte to handle him like that, I think there could be some physical advantages. And, you see with Marte, you see a lot of losses on the amateur career, but it's that's where you want the losses, and not a lot, 4 losses. He had 8 wins. So including one of those losses being to Cody Davis, again. So he's, just, I think, very well tested here. I am going to go with Eimer Hernandez, though. I think that his potential is pretty outstanding. I think he's training with some very good guys over with Rufus Sport. I do think kind of Rufus Sport 2.0 is kind of starting to develop here, and I think Eimer could be a big part of that team moving forward. This is a big test for his second fight. He had a big test in his first fight. I like Eimer here, but the odds, I can't do anything with them. Eimer's a minus 300 favorite.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, I compare Rufus Sport at the moment to how Great British Top Team is now, where they've got a lot of guys at 2 weight classes, like 125, 135. They've got so many guys there at Rufus Sport that are his size, that are very high level, that are going to improve him so quickly. Mm-hmm. The fight I have seen as well, same one as you. He got in trouble, showed, he's got what it takes. He's still super young. It's a hard one because when you get guys like Mate who can hit hard, he's called Hulk Hands for a reason. I always worry, like the John Linekers of the world. I know that was at 135, but when you got a guy who's like 5'4" and hits like a truck, I really worry because it doesn't matter how technical you are. You just land one shot, you can stop these guys. So I'm gonna flip it, and I'll go for Hulk Hands.
Okay.
Not only because he's got a great nickname, but because he hits like a truck. He's fought a lot. He's got a lot of experience, and I rate experience above anything else when you're making, when you're against 1-0 guys.
Yeah, 1-0, 1-1.
Yeah.
In particular, when the losses to Cody Davis, I don't think that I would pick Eimer Hernandez over Cody Davis either. So,
if he was 2-0 right now, what would the odds look like?
Yeah, and now because it's 1-0 versus 1-1, and you got Rufus Sport minus 300, minus 310. I'm seeing plus 240 for Enrique. I don't think that's a bad shot if you're wanting to take a shot early on. I'm going to go with Eimer, but definitely nervous. I think if he takes if he takes similar type of shots that he did in his last fight, he might not be able to make it through it, but we shall see. Next fight, I'm not going to have a whole lot to say on, I'll be honest. It is at 145. We've got an 0-1 Ethan Ewing, I believe, taking on Roberto Hernandez at 2-1. But yeah, it's just a 145 fight here. I was able to find a little bit of tape on Roberto Hernandez, who seems to have a little bit of a grappling game to him. If I remember, he's Joe Stevenson, Cobra Kai, in Victorville, California. Both these guys from California. So another local showcase here. Roberto Hernandez last fought in February of 2020.
Just to interrupt, is that Joe Daddy Stevenson's gym?
Yeah, yes.
He called it Cobra Kai.
Correct.
Christ,
like
okay.
the karate gym.
Yeah,
he has a lot of CTE from BJ Penn. You have to give him a break.
Getting choked by Kenny Florine.
Yeah, all the blood out of his body. Fun fact about Roberto Hernandez: he has a win over Rick James at 6-6. He lost to Jesse Strader in their pro debut. Jesse Strader knocked him out. No shame there. We know Jesse Strader can bang. So there's no shame there. As an amateur, lost to Ryan Fillingame, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit here. Decent competition there. Josh Wayne Kim at 5-0, who is still undefeated as a pro. I'm not sure what he's exactly doing, but doing well. And then, good amateur record. Again, you're seeing the submissions, the darts, chokes. Does have a few KOs as well. Taking on the 0-1 Ethan Ewing. I mean, he's 0-1, and so we don't really know much about this guy at this point. No nickname. Last fought in 2020 with LFA. Now fighting out CSW, Combat Submission Wrestling Training Center. Faced Edwin Cooper, a decent guy with LFA. Edwin Cooper was kind of just able to control him with the wrestling. That's pretty much how Edwin Cooper wins his fights. No shame there. Went 6-1 as an amateur. Lost a split decision there. Submissions for the most part, as well as a ground and pound finish of Quintel Brooks. Just not facing too not facing a lot of competition yet to show how good he is. It's been off for a year. I don't know. Roberto Hernandez? I'm not going to bet $1 on it.
No, I completely agree. Just
Yeah.
from based on what I've seen from their records, that's all it is. Tape. I found one kind of smidgen on Roberto Hernandez. I found the kickboxing fight he lost split decision to in Ewing, but no MMA fights.
Yeah,
So it was hard to find.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know much about losing other than that debut, really, because I'm not putting the kickboxing fight in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go Hernandez, man. Go the grappler at these sort of low entries.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay the hell away from it with your wallet. Jesus.
Well, yeah, Hernandez minus 145, plus 115 on Ewing.
Is that good?
I mean, even the odds don't know. There's like, we'll give it to Hernandez. We've seen a little bit of, but yeah, just walk away from this one, guys. Enjoy this one, and we'll move on to the next one. This is another one that, again, when we don't have a lot of thoughts on the fight, I mean, what are you guys say? This is a middleweight fight here between a 2-2 Kalai Kina'koa, Hawaiian versus Justin Berry. I mean, I kind of don't know what else to really say other than that. I have done a little bit of tape on Justin Berry. He did have some fights to watch, so I appreciate that. That definitely makes me edge, a little towards him. But Kalai Kina'koa is his opponent, 2-3 against 2-0 here. 6'3" Justin Berry, last fight 193, 33 years old, out of Virginia. This fight is going to be at middleweight, so we'll see how he makes the cut down there. But last fight in December of 2021 had a finish of a debutant in Leonardo Rodarte. Yep, crescent kick and punches. So he's got 2 crescent kick, and then his other win is a key lock. So what kind of competition is he facing? By the way, his amateur fight was in 2013. He took 8 years off before coming back, and was supposed to take on Daniel Compton with Cage Warriors. Ended up pulling out last second. Alan Benson stepped in, crescent kick. I remember Justin was a huge favorite there. Gotta be a big favorite.
He must have felt like $1 million there.
Yeah,
you come in after 8-year layoff and you crescent kick someone.
Yeah, just welcome back. The 33.
I am pretty good at this.
Yeah, I should have never left. But Kina'koa, sorry, 2-3. Last loss with Bellator in 2019. Took a boxing fight in 2021. He got KO'd in. Lost to Zach Zane. I mean, I get it. It was early on in his career, but you lose to Zach Zane, you're not too high of a level, in my opinion. Ben Wilhelm also put him away with a rear naked choke. He lost the decision as well. His grappling is definitely his weak point. I could see this being a pretty entertaining stand-up bout. I don't think anybody's touching the ground. Kalai could knock out Justin Berry, but I'm going to go with Justin Berry. I'm sure that his price is unplayable, so I'm not going to be too worried about it, but Justin Berry by KO is my pick.
Justin Berry by crescent kick is my pick.
Another three-time crescent kick.
Why not? He's done it twice already. And Kina'koa, all he seems to know recently is losses,
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting finished. That's important. Yep. He's getting
KO'd in boxing.
Do you know what I mean? That's why. I don't know. I don't get these sort of opponents, but this is a good feeder, I would say, for Justin Berry. But then he's 33, and that makes me question everything as well. But there must be a reason for the layoff. Maybe he went and did some other form of combat sports, or he was a real estate agent.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything about it, but either way, I mean, he's a huge favorite, minus 325, one of the biggest favorites on the card, plus 250 on.
Also, look at the size difference. If that Tapology weight category is correct, it's going to be like a man v a boy.
Yeah. So I mean, I mean, Justin Berry is my pick, and I'd be pretty confident in it. If you're really desperate, you can add it to a parlay, but at minus 325, you don't want to bust it on Justin Berry, not being who you thought he was. We're to the main card now. This main card has more experience, but it might not be more exciting than the prelims, so I definitely would watch the prelims for this card as well. But we're starting in a fight that I think should be pretty good time. And Jose Marascao taking on Luke Faltersack. Jose has faced some very, very good level of competition, and we'll get to that in a second, but I'll be talking about the Land Shark, Luke Faltersack. Faltersack, first of Alliance MMA, 29 years old, like his opponent. Lost last in October of 2020 with LFA. He's out of Michigan, so shout out to Michigan, a fellow Michigander. Lost to Elijah Johns there. We've seen Elijah Johns continue to stay on a pretty good streak there. Fought him pretty closely in that one. It was much closer than everybody expected it to be. I think for the most part, Luke, looks to grapple, looks to wrestle, and mix it up. He's got losses to Tommy Aaron, a split with Alex Trinidad, and then Joey Rouquette choked him out. So otherwise, win over Nick Pugh at 5-2 with the up kick ground and pound finish, and then a 1-14.
Who's giving that guy Miguelito Marty fights, man?
Yeah, seriously.
That'd be my record.
Yeah, 1-14. Rear naked choke at Gladiator Challenge. This is why you never know with Gladiator Challenge what you're looking into. Just mostly a grappler for the most part. Keeps a good pace. He is going against a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I believe, in Jose Marascao. But this is a black belt who likes to stand and bang for the most part, for better or worse, in Chepe. He is 10-6. Lost his last 2 fights. Last fought with CFFC in September of 2020. He's out of Elevation Fight Team, so he's going to have the gas. He's lost to very, very good guys. Joe Anderson Brito knocked him out. Steve Garcia knocked him out. And Sean Soriano won a decision with CFFC before getting re-signed with the UFC. Has wins over Yusuf Salal. Has a win over Pat Sabatini. Losses to guys like Bryce Mitchell. Gregory Gillespie. I mean, he's been in there with a really high level of competition, and he's won against some of those high levels of competition. He's a finisher. He's got really good striking. He has a 4th round finish in there. He's able to use his submissions at times. I think he really has a good opportunity here to look very good against Faltersack. Faltersack can, make a fight very close and gritty. However, and that's where I'm a little bit worried that maybe Marisol lets it in this realm too much. But I got to go with Chepe here. I think Chepe is able to defend the takedowns. And on the feet, there's a significant advantage for Jose. So I like Jose in this spot. The odds are a little too steep for me at -210, but about accurate to a +170 for Luke Faltersack.
I mean, I think this one's one of the clearer decisions on the card for me, with Jose winning.
Yeah.
I think he's better everywhere. I think even if Faltersack wanted to get it to the ground, I don't think he can implement any form of game plan against Jose. I think he's got wicked sweeps. Really does a sit-up sweep nicely. Grabs the key, goes for a Kimura from guard, sweeps the legs, gets into side control. He's done it time and time again. I think Faltersack's going to really struggle to get into the range as well, and I think Jose can punish him. He's got a lot of experience. I know he's been losing, but when you get beaten by Bryce Mitchell, you're not taking any fucking damage. You're just getting out grappled and subbed or decisions. He doesn't really implement damage. How much who took more damage in the fight when Bryce fought Andre Fili? He did. He was cut open, and Andre was just tired. He's like, got out grappled again. So these sort of losses, I don't look at where.
Well, I would think that would be Luke's approach, though, is to try to tire him out. Luke's going to be the less muscular, less physically. I do see at times Jose slow down in some of these fights.
Yeah, absolutely could do.
So that's the route if he has a route. I don't think it's a great one.
The amount of cardio you would need to tire him out, though. I think Luke would also be tired. So I think they'll just be. I think they'll just be even. But it's absolutely more than a perfect game plan. That should be most game plans if the guy's got really good cardio. But I think Jose's pretty easy pick here for me.
Yeah, I think Jose is probably one of our. I believe it was Reginaldo. That's for our 3 most confident. I would put Jose in my 3 most confident. So
me too.
And at -210, I think it's a good parlay piece. So
I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised that some of the guys that are like one win have like a minus 400, and this guy's got a minus 200, but he's fought Bontarin, Bryce Mitchell, Gregor Gillespie.
A lot of the fights available for Jose are losses that are available for tape, and
I just experience when you're against the guy.
Yeah, and some of his losses he's lost pretty spectacularly, and I will admit in that way. So I think sometimes that maybe has an impact, but you gotta take the matchup as is. Back down at 125 now, really good prospect here in Joseph Morales taking on Sidamar Honorio. It should know that because he's a veteran of kind of a lot of different scenes within MMA. But Honorio taking on Joseph Morales here. I think this is a really good fight that's going to tell us a lot about Joseph Morales. I get that Honorio at the end of his career now, 41, nearly 42 years old, but he's still competing well. 3 of his last 5 he's won. Joseph Morales also 3 of his last 5, including his first 2 losses of his career. Team Alpha Male representative, never Bopo, 27 years old. Did get a win with Cage Warriors after having a rough low go of it with the UFC. Went 1-3 with the UFC, went over Roberto Sanchez, and then lost to Eric Sheldon by split. Very controversial. And then Davidson Figueiredo, he got knocked out by in the second round. No shame there. Kind of a short leash for him. He was originally supposed to take on Mark Kina'koa back in October. Had to pull out of that fight, and then Kina'koa lost to the short notice replacement, actually. Kina'koa, but has a win over Kevin Worth. Anybody who has a win over Kevin Worth, I do rate it quite highly. Appreciate it, Kelly. Thanks for stopping by. Anybody who has a win, that's just kind of one of those wins on the regional or LFA Cage Warriors scene where if you're able to go a decision and win a decision with Kevin Worth, he's very crafty, he's very good, and a pretty big flyweight too. I kind of forget at points he has fought at flyweight. So definitely a good win there. It was back in October of 2021. Curious about how he is condition wise, but I think it's a really good opportunity for Morales to show he's a stronger, faster, quicker guy against a 41-year-old who hasn't fought since 2019 in Honorio. And he last fought Umar Nurmagomedov there. Umar just kind of did work with him. He does have a win over Ludovic Shaolin in his last fight with Bellator. Got a decision there before got knocked out by Luis Gaudenot back in the day with CFFC. He's just been pretty inactive, and I think that Joseph Morales should be able to take this one. I think being a Team Alpha Male, he'll have a good game plan here, and I think Morales is looking to make a move towards a Contender Series type of route or getting to Bellator, and I just think Honorio is kind of done.
Yeah, I can see. I first off, Morales is winning this fight, 100%. This is one of this is another. This is pick.
Yeah, I agree. This would also go in my most confident with Jose.
Yeah, I think he's really, really damn good. I thought he got a rough ride with the UFC, obviously, but again, at the time, Davidson Figueiredo, him both undefeated. He just gets the standard 3-fight contract. You lose to him, you're pretty much cut, unless you're really entertaining or whatever. So, it happens. But if he wins this next fight, there's no reason he can't get back in with the UFC. They seem, okay, you've won the next 2, get back in here on a 1-fight deal, 2-fight deal, whatever they do. You've seen it time and time again with people, even short notice appearances. Bellator might be a route. I think he likes the UFC. I think I've heard that before. A lot of fighters refuse, they want to be on the main stage. I see Honorio, I don't see him implementing any form of his own game because his game changes every fight.
Yeah.
He slowed down drastically after 1 round. He always comes in great shape, but he doesn't seem to perform. He's a bigger dude. He's cutting a lot of weight. I just like Joseph Morales. I think pressure, his boxing is very clinical. He's got great sprawls. He's got great clinch game. His movement's great. Distance management's excellent. He's a real good guy that should be in the UFC.
Right. How many 42-year-old flyweights can you name?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's cutting, and Sidamar is going to be cutting a significant amount of weight. I believe his last fight was at bantamweight too. So he's
He's
I'm
like the
not sure.
Yoel Romero of flyweight, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy, yeah.
Great,
The
same
most.
record.
Yep, the most elite middleweight of all time, apparently. But yeah, we'll save that for another channel. And yeah, but I think that kind of those three in the middle, the Justin Berry, Jose Marisol, and then the Joseph Morales. That's a little triple up that I think you can pretty much count on coming in. Next fight here is I'm very excited to see this guy. I've been watching a lot of his fights. Doesn't take a long time to watch it. And this is, by the way, at the featherweight division, Damon Wilson, the Nomad, taking on the Prince Ryan Philip. We know Ryan pretty well, broken him down quite a few times. Damon Wilson, a Scorpion Fight Team, 3-0, 5'9", pretty decent size 145er who just kind of has bricks in his hands. He throws hard. 5 straight wins going back to his amateur career, coming off of an 11-second knockout of Theodore Makuka back in October. Very impressive there. The John Butner knockout, second round, very impressive there. And then beat Pancho Thurer in his debut, also 2-0 as an amateur with RFA. Pretty active, 2 fights in 2021. I had 3 years off between those fights, partially COVID and other things, I think. But yeah, Damon Wilson, he's a very good boxer, really good power, and Ryan has been knocked out quite a few times in his 4 fights. 6-4 overall. Last fought in November with LFA. Got decisioned against Javier Garcia. It was a nearly a 5-year layoff, or over a 4-year layoff, I should say, from where he got KO'd by Fernando Padilla. We all know I love Fernando Padilla, but that was early on in Padilla's career for sure. And he KO'd him in 35 seconds. Billy Quantillo was smiling and laughing towards the end of the first round because he just knew Ryan was so done. Mm-hmm. Ryan defensively just really takes a lot of shots. The cardio isn't always all that impressive either. Got knocked out in his Gladiator Challenge exhibition debut as well. So been knocked out quite a few times. A good amateur career. I just think Ryan is so hittable, and I think Damon Wilson does have an experience disadvantage here. That's where Ryan definitely has the advantage, but I think I just don't see Ryan being able to survive Damon's power here. I think Damon puts him away. And I'd say round 1.
Round 1. Okay, I was going to go round 2. I also think Damon's going to put him away. For the fact that, defensively, Ryan is very crap. There's no other way to put it. But I also think this is a perfect opponent for both guys. Ryan needs an up-and-comer that hasn't faced major competition, and Damon needs someone with a decent amount of experience because all the people he's been fighting are 0-0 or 1-1 or whatever. So perfect opponent for both guys, but I do feel like Damon is one of those guys like Derek Kelly, remember last week in Bellator, it's those sort of fights where these guys are good and they've got 2-3 fights like proper good. I think he's just going to overwhelm him. He's going to get inside. He's going to land the heavy shots. It's going to be crumble time. I think I said it in one of my breakdowns I did earlier, recorded, but Ryan's going to turn into a wet cookie essentially. I mean, that's how I see it going. I watched quite a bit of Ryan's tape over the years and earlier this week when I was doing tape. Minus 290 on Damon Wilson, plus 245. A little steep for sure, especially with a guy like Damon Wilson who has several first-round finishes. What kind of happens if he survives the best shots and Damon has to stretch to 15 minutes? Does Ryan start to take over in 2 and 3? I don't know, but I don't see that happening. But it's a steep price for a 3-0 opponent against a guy who has 3 times the amount of pro experience and way more amateur experience as well against good competition. If you're betting on Damon in that, you better be training with Damon. Because we don't know how good he is just yet. After this fight, I will say you should bet on him because you'll know a lot more about him.
Yeah, exactly. Next fight though is at 145 pounds, featherweight fight here between Jeremiah Lobiano and Wilson Hayes. 2 veterans here. Wilson Hayes did a lot of his work at flyweight, moved up to bantamweight, and now he's at featherweight. I'm going to be interested to see the condition of the 37-year-old. coming in this fight, 24-12. He looks like he's been in good shape from what I could see of his training, but a little bit concerned to see him going from the 125 division up 2 weight classes to featherweight, albeit against a guy in Lobiano who fought a lot at 135 himself. So 2 smaller featherweights here, so essentially maybe not making the cut, but been a little bit of a rough road for Wilson Hayes lately. He's won 2 of his last, I think, 7. But the losses coming to guys like Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo, John Moraga, who won some prime time, was good. Alexander Pantoja, it was very good. Donnie Matos, who's much better than people realize, although Donnie Matos knocked him out in 16 seconds. That's concerning. And then Taylor Lapuli's decision with Aries back in December. It was a very competitive fight. I kind of originally was very much on Wilson Hayes in this. I thought this is a great opportunity. But one thing about Jeremiah Lobiano, he's never been submitted in his career. Good grappling himself. Definitely wants to have this fight on the feet. He's going to have a reach advantage on the feet. I think a power advantage, just overall a stand-up advantage. I think while Wilson has to get this fight down to the ground, that's been Wilson's problem at points in his career in very many fights, like the John Moraga fight. I think it's going to look a lot like that. Honestly, I see a lot of similarities here. I'm actually going to side with Jeremiah Lobiano. I think that the frame, I think that the variety of strikes and his grappling ability himself is going to be enough to keep this fight where he needs to keep it. I think it's going to be a highly competitive decision. This is one of the closest fights on the card. And these guys are very similar points in their career. I just think Lobiano has a little bit left and a little bit. I think his frame is going to play an advantage in where this fight is dictated.
Yeah, it's if Wilson's actually going to perform well, I think for once in his life, use your jiu-jitsu. Like, go really hard for these takedowns and hold him and make it a bore fest, because striking-wise, he's lost a step. He used to actually be able to hang. He's got a good overhand, right? He's got some power. You know, he used to cause, leading up to that DJ fight, he was doing really well. I remember Dominic Cruz saying how good he was.
Like against Sasaki.
Yeah. But again, Labiano's that kind of pre-level, isn't he? So, but again, that was, 6-7 years ago. He was in his physical prime. Still going now. I don't know why he's still going now. I like the fact he's moved up because he's put on
2 weight classes.
Yeah, I do, because this is his walk around weight now. So he's going to be super comfortable, and I think his gas tank's going to be better. I think he might see higher output, and it's probably one of the last fights he'll have. So I think he's either going to get knocked out or boring ass decision. And I'm not brave enough to go with Labiano. I will side with Wilson Hayes. Okay, but I think this is going to be one of the dullest fights on the card. Personally, I think it might be a stalemate, and they might, 2 magnet negative, just bounce off each other here. I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want any.
I mean, we got 35 versus 37. It's not that Lobiano is much younger either. Labiano's never been submitted, so I do think if Wilson wins this fight, it's going to be
Wilson by submission. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, first one. But minus 150 for Wilson, plus 120 on Jeremiah Lobiano. I'm not taking a shot on Lobiano at that price, but I'm going to sit back and watch that co-main event. I'm hoping it's good, but I think it could be one of the more kind of stalemate-y fights. Honestly, the co-main and main event, I think, could both be that way, if I'm being perfectly honest here. So we're on to the main event. Joshua Jones is making his trip back down to 155, the most reluctant trip down to 155 ever in the history of the MMA. Like, he just circles around it, does catch weights anywhere from 190 pounds to 165 pounds. Last fight was against Cisneros with Bellator at 180. Taking on Kyle Driscoll, the AKA product out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Still only 28 years old. 5'11", 72-inch reach. So right there, 6-inch reach advantage on his opponent. Definitely, I think, could play a factor because I do think that Kyle needs to avoid allowing Joshua to get the wrestling going. It's just that Kyle hasn't fought since his decision win on the Contender Series in September of 2020. was supposed to face J.J. Ambrose in October of last year. Kyle Driscoll got injured with Cage Warriors, so was injured back in October. But yeah, either way, losses by KO and an armbar early on, and then decision. I haven't heard of any of the fighters he's faced, though. Faced a pretty low level of competition, even on the Contender Series, getting Denise Paiva. I think a lot of people expected Kyle Driscoll to be able to finish a guy in Denise Paiva, who's been finished in 5 of his 7 losses. And this was kind of in the part of the Contender Series where if you got a decision, it was impossible for them to ever give you a contract, apparently. But took a few years off. He's coming back to a Manic event against a guy who's walked around at 190, 100, 200 pounds. Joshua Jones, 11-5 now. He is hand on the hips at all points because he doesn't have the best gas tank. 31 years old, 2 straight wins for him. Last fought in Bellator in July of this year, again being Johnny Cisneros with the ground and pound. That fight was at, I believe, 180, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, catchweight of 180, and Joshua weighed in at 180. The fight before that was at catchweight of 160, and that was at the beginning of 2020. So really inactive as well. He got elbowed by Arut Pagosian in a lightweight fight, and that was basically a fight where I think it kind of showed that these cuts are pretty rough on the chin and the durability of Joshua. Joshua puts his head in the side there on the takedowns and sticks it there trying to get takedowns. So Kyle, I think, will be ready to throw very similar types of elbows. Kyle has good takedown defense himself. Kyle has a reach advantage. Kyle is going to have the cardio advantage.
Makes the weight no problem.
Right. I just don't see Joshua having Joshua's route to victory here. Other than an early submission type of thing where he gets the wrestling to work and grabs the back or an arm triangle. I think that the weight cut's going to kill him. We're probably going to see a Twitter notification saying that he missed weight by 4 pounds, and then I'm thinking about it a little bit more. But even if he misses weight, I still got Kyle Driscoll regardless. I think Kyle Driscoll, my one worry is the amount of time off, but still 27, 28 years old. I think he's been improving. He looks to be in good shape from what I've seen. The price is crazy, but it also is, I think, built into Joshua Jones' a lightweight.
Yeah, very rarely when you see guys that are like 24, 25 and they take a couple years off, very rarely do you see them come back and look bad. Normally they have improved so much. They're actually going back and they've learned all the, they're learning the craft now instead of just doing camp after camp after camp.
They're healing up from years of amateur, or whatever, wrestling injuries, whatever it is.
For sure. Yeah, getting their body fixed. And I'm that's the way I'm putting this. I think Josh Jones is going to miss weight. I think.
Yeah, I do too. I would bet on it. I would bet on that he misses. Yeah. I mean, he's a fat welterweight.
Yeah, he's the tweener, isn't he? He's the Gastelum kind. He kills himself, and you flick him in the forehead, and he gets dizzy. So,
especially when he cuts the full weight.
Oh, mate, I don't know what he's going to be walking around at the next day because the hydration from 155 up for him. If he does make the weight, the next day is going to be a rough hydration. Like he's going to be not with it. I think Kyle's going to finish him. I think he's got way better cardio. I think just hold him off, keep him at distance for 3-4 minutes. Do what you want after that. Do what you want. He's better in every discipline once the guy's a bit tired. I think this is an easy pick with Kyle. I would pick this at open weight. Go in, don't even cut weight. I would still pick Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with you here.
He's also lazy. I don't like Josh Jones because he's lazy. Pick a weight class, stick to it, and take it seriously. And respect the opponent who is also cutting the weight. You not caring is a real bug burner for me. I've got a real problem with people that don't do the weight properly.
Yeah.
It's literally the only thing you agree on is we are fighting at this weight class. Do it. And he's like,
Yeah, he fought at 180 his last fight and got a win over Johnny Cisneros. Johnny Cisneros not a great fighter, but decent amount of experience there. But yeah, I agree. Kyle Driscoll here for me. I like the finish minus 345. The odds like him as well, plus 285. And I think when the weigh-ins are shown, that price is going to shoot up. So just assume that Joshua Jones doesn't have a great weight cut, and you'll be good. But That is going to do it for the Cage Warriors show here. We're going to sign off here, skip the quick picks and everything. But Lewis will be back with me in about 90 minutes for the UFC 272 breakdown show with Boston Comments and Josh and a special UFC guest to join us at the beginning. So join us then. But for Aaron the dog, for Lewis of Norton MMA, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you guys in 90 minutes. Peace out.